allows us to offer their products and services at an extreme discount. But we'll talk about that later. But I'm answering that because we have some folks watching us on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. And that was one of the questions we got, so I wanted to make sure I answered that. And I thought maybe some of you folks might have been wondering if you've heard about business credit before. You might have heard of Credit Suite because they're a huge company. And they're like, well, are you guys Credit Suite? Is that something? Yes, we are Credit Suite. We all work together, one big happy partnership family. Now, I came to meet Megan Christensen and Ty Carandall through that Renatus education I was telling you about. Because the instructors that Renatus polls are always the best folks in their field of interest. So if you want to learn about self-directed IRAs, which I happen to love and I use in my real estate investing, as Ray mentioned, I've helped raise over $1.25 million in self-directed IRA funds for our real estate. It's important to know that there's a lot of rules. The IRS has come up with a lot of rules. Would you believe that there's what are called prohibited transactions, that if you do them, the government gets to take all your money away? Yeah, there are. There are a lot of them. And they don't all make sense to me personally. I don't quite understand the rhyme or reason behind them. But you need to understand it. The person who teaches that class is, his name's Matt Sorensen. He actually goes to Congress and testifies at IRS hearings where they are writing into code what the laws are going to be. So he is right on the forefront of all of the self-directed IRAs. That's another financial strategy we're not going to talk about today. I bring that up because I've taken a financial education that literally the instructors are the cream of the crop, the best of the best. I've learned from the best of the best about business credit. I've learned from the best of the best about self-directed IRAs. There's so many other financial strategies that I don't have time to go over. But this one strategy called velocity banking. Who has not heard, by show of hands, who's not heard of velocity banking? That is a brand new term to you. Okay. This is something that another class that I've learned from the Renatus education taught by Bob Snyder, who is a very successful real estate investor. This is a concept of financing that started in Australia, moved to New Zealand, went up through the Polynesian Islands. It's practiced very, very widespread in Hawaii, but isn't really caught on in the mainland. And you'll understand why. We'll explain. You'll see why. But this is a strategy that when you implement it, you can pay off all of your debts in 1/3 the time. So a 30-year mortgage is paid off in 10 years. 5-year auto loan paid off in 18 months. So this is a very, very powerful strategy of how to eliminate debt quickly without having to make extra payments. You don't make any extra payments. And this is not about you cutting back in your life and trying to get down to the beans and rice diet and use that extra money. Right? You don't save your way to wealth, okay? But I want you to understand that I'm going to show you velocity banking. And it's really, to explain it to you, I've got to do it in stages. I'm going to explain the average American budget, and then I'm going to talk about banking in general, the banking products that are offered, and then we're going to talk about the velocity banking strategy. And then, after all of that, then I'm going to tell you how we can combine that with business credit, which you've already learned today, to do amazing things. But I'm basically just going to uncover these classes that are in the Renatus education. They're like business credit. It's an 8-hour-long course. We just gave you a 3-hour, we gave you a mini class on it, but it's an 8-hour-long class. Velocity banking, 16-hour-long class, broken into 2 days. Right? I'm just going to give you an overview of this so that you understand the general concepts. If you're ever interested and want to dive deeper into some of these financial strategies, self-directed IRAs, velocity banking, business credit, how to use whole life life insurance policies, and how to bank on yourself. we have a lot of financial strategies that we utilize, and I can give you more information about that. Or so can Michael, who's the local leader here. He's very well versed in all of these strategies. But I'm going to talk to you about velocity banking today. I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to map it all out for you as best I can. But I want you to understand one system, one thing. If you understood exactly how the banking system worked, could you leverage that knowledge to your advantage? Yeah. Now, if you don't know how the banking system works, could that system take advantage of you? Yeah. You would agree with those two statements? Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you how the banking system works. You guys okay with that? You want to see how the bank's making money hand over fist? Okay. Let us begin. When the students are ready, the master will appear. I'm just kidding. No, I've learned from the master. I'll do my best to do as best of a representation of this as I can. Keep in mind that it is still incumbent upon you to do your own due diligence. While I do my best to show you how this strategy works, I'm using examples, I'm using a lot of generalities here. You need to research with a CPA, with an attorney, or make sure that these principles will work specifically with your business, okay? All right, so we're going to get started here. I think we're using black. Okay, good. So we're talking about velocity banking. So velocity banking requires 3 components to participate. Component number 1, you need to have debt. By show of hands, who has any debt? Any debt in the room? All right, I'm just seeing if you guys qualify for velocity banking. Number 2 is you need to have some kind of monthly income. All right? By show of hands, who has monthly income? All right, good. All right, and number 3, you need to have access to, well, that was weird. All right, you need to have stop it. Come on. All right, we'll try that. No, see what's going on here. I have
the mouse.
Oh.
Unplug the mouse.
That might be, you might be right, sir. Where's the mouse plugged in here? Okay, thank you, Ray. All right, and the last thing you need to have is a line of credit. Velocity banking works best with a line of credit, but it can work in many cases, not all, with credit cards. Okay, so who here by show of hands either has a line of credit or credit cards? Okay, so if you have all 3 of these components, then you can play this game with us called velocity banking today. All right, so let's zoom out a bit here. I'm going to be going over the nationwide averages to really discuss the budget. Rather than putting any of you on the spot and having you share with us all of your income and expenses, we'll just go over what the average 2-income American family is making. The average 2-income American family, here they are. Here's, like Ray and Jane, right? This is your average 2-income American family. Right, after taxes for the month.
Kids?
This is just just 2 people,
okay.
no kids. That's a good question because that would affect a lot of the things here. So 2 incomes on a month after taxes, they're bringing in $5,000 a month. Okay, so the $5,000 that they bring in we would put where? In a mattress, a pillow, in the safe.
Expenses.
What? Where? In the bank. Yes, they would put it into this little pie that I didn't draw very well. Let's see. They put it here into this pie. It's not that much better, but we'll work with it.
It's like a lemon.
They put it into this lemon, right? Because we're going to make lemonade in a little bit. They put it into, well, let's see if we can divide it in half, into a checking or a savings account. Okay? So we're all familiar with that. And when you do that, you're living on what's called a cash basis mentality. All right? So much money comes in, and then that's your total pie. And then you start cutting it up, you know. So let's say we were cutting up this pie, right? Right? This piece of pie would be for the house, right? And then you cut up, you know, this piece of pie over here, and, you know, that would be for, you know, the car or something like that, right? Right? And then you've got some kind of like credit card. No, that doesn't look like too good of a credit card. Here, let's see if we can. I usually do this on the whiteboard, so this is a real big treat for you guys today because we get to play with this stuff here. All right, and then another way it gets divided up is, you know, what's your lifestyle? Lifestyle. Okay. So these are the different categories that we're going to break it down into, but when you start looking at the average two-income American family, we start looking at just some average numbers here. The average two-income American family is spending $1,200 a month on their mortgage payment. Now, when we talk about averages, where do these averages come from? Hawaii to Florida to New York, California, Wyoming, you know, here in Nevada, Arizona, Nebraska. We're just averaging the entire United States in terms of income and expenses. But when you have $1,200 that's going out in rent, we're going to look at that over here, and this is a bank product. No, I'm sorry, that's not that bank product. This would be this bank product. This is not a line, but this would be a loan, like a home loan, right? So the average debt that's carried on a home loan is about $200,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And if it's, for some folks, that means that the value of the house is around $220,000, and then you had to put your 20% down, and then you carry back a mortgage of $200,000. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the average interest rate, that's all at 6%. You guys following along?
Yep.
So average would mean that you've got half of two-income American families that have an interest rate that's less than 6%, while the other half have more. Mm-hmm. And we see all these killer rates, like so somebody can get it at 2%, 3%. We see all these things, and then some people have, you know, 7%. Like, whoa, 8%. Where do you get? Right? It's all based off of your credit, right? Some of us have great credit scores, some don't. Now, if any of you have any food-induced coma that's happening, I will throw something at you to help keep you awake because the information I have here is that important, okay? So I'm just looking. I don't have to flick that at anybody. Okay. So here, so far, so that's the loan. So you have a two-income family, and so we're also going to talk about auto loans. Two-income family means we have how many vehicles?
Two.
The average monthly car payment is $300. So what would be our monthly budget here?
$600.
That's right. That means we would be paying $600. You're absolutely right. If I can get this working. $600. All right. So let's write over here. This is our $600. Boom. Now, I saw something where the average balance that's being carried on an auto loan is about $13,000. So somebody traded in a previous vehicle and then whatever, then they're carrying some balance, and then they've been paying that down. So if we have two vehicles at $13,000 balance, what would be our total balance here? 26,000. Right. Okay, so that's where we're at. Now, I've seen interest rates as low as 2%. I've seen them higher than that. We'll say that this is at about 5%. And most of the time it's just for 60 months, although I've been seeing them go out for 72, 84. So in the auto industry, they're just doing anything they can to stay competitive. So those are different loan products. Some people, you know, these numbers I'm putting up here might not represent your numbers. You might have a student loan or a personal loan of some kind, but the principles that we're going to teach from this is really what we're more looking at than whether or not these numbers accurately meet with what you're saying or with what you're seeing in your life. So the next thing that I thought was fairly interesting was the fact that people have credit cards, and the average two-income American family is paying $600 a month in their average credit card expenses. Now that's a different product that we'll write over here because we're separating loans from lines. So we're going to go over here and write line, right? As in a line of credit or a credit card. Do you guys know the difference between a line of credit and a credit card? Who knows the difference? Share with us, please. What is the difference between a line of credit and a credit card? Go for it. You raised your hand in the back.
The loan usually is a certain amount of time and based on amortized interest rate. So interest are calculated from for a long period of time. Whereas the line of credit usually is you got simple interest.
Well, you're really discussing, I think, the difference between line and loan, and I'm looking for the difference between a line of credit and a credit card.
Oh, I misheard you.
Does anybody know the difference between a line of credit and a credit card? John?
Credit card is something you would utilise to pay for whatever you buy, wherever you're buying it, whereas a line of credit is access to a lump of cash.
That works. So with a credit card, what introductory interest rate can we get offered for us? 0%. Isn't that great? And we use credit cards, little pieces of plastic at point of sale, so we can go buy stuff. What can you buy with a credit card?
Anything. Yeah.
What can't you buy with a credit card, right? But are there some things that you can't pay for with a credit card?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Marijuana.
You can't buy marijuana with a credit card?
Your mortgage.
Your mortgage. Some mortgage companies won't accept credit card payments.
Some car notes won't.
Car notes, yeah. Some car notes won't either. That's right. And Visa says it's everywhere you want to be. I mean, come on. That seems like false advertising. So with a credit card, you can get a 0% interest rate. You can balance transfer at the 0% interest rate. Now, with a line, in the interest is simple interest, which is great. Then, with the line of credit, is there a 0% introductory offer for lines of credit? No. I think you'll see them somewhere averaging right now today around 12-15% interest, simple interest. But let me ask you this. If I have a credit card with a $10,000 limit and I want to get cash out of my card, what is that called if I want to pull cash off of my credit card? A cash advance. So what happens to my interest rate? It goes up, right, to 30%. Now, can I get access to all $10,000 on my line?
No.
No, only about a third of my line I would be able to access in the cash advance. Let's compare that to a line of credit. I got a line of credit at, let's say, 15% interest for $10,000. Can I access all $10,000 in cash if I want?
Yes.
Oh, so are you starting to see some difference here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I just want to put it what's clear in your head, the difference between lines of credit and credit cards, because that's going to come up later. It makes a difference. So a line of credit. All right, so here's a shocker for you. The average two-income American family has $15,000 limit available to them through their various lines of credit. Now, some of you might be thinking, are those credit cards? Could be. So for some people, it could be 3 credit cards with $5,000 a piece on them. But did you know that overdraft accounts are considered credit? Did you know you can get credit attached to just about any account out there? If you have a money market account, any kind of annuity, pension, you can get lines of credit attached to savings, not savings accounts, 401ks, IRAs. Right, you can get lines of credit attached depending on the value of the account and what products and services that are being provided. So when we say, when you see lines there, everybody assumes credit card, right? But that's not necessarily true. Okay, so I just want us to keep in mind that there's a difference there. Now, the balance that the 2-income American family are carrying is $12,000 balance. And that is at a nationwide average of 21% interest. So you guys following along so far, picking up what I'm laying down? Right? This is, you know, the American budget. I know it's a B word for a lot of us. Budget. Lifestyle. This number is different for everybody. Right? There aren't really 2 families that are the same here. In this example, it's going to be $1,200 is the budget. Is their lifestyle. What are we talking about? What's their average food cost, the cost for gas, water, power, their consumables? Do they go out to dinner? Do they have any entertainment expenses? Do they cut back? Whatever it is. So a 2-income family with no children, that $1,200 might actually fit. But introduce 1 kid in there, and does that lifestyle expense change?
Yeah.
How about 8 kids and mother-in-law's living with you? So lifestyle, as you can see, that changes for everybody. Now over here, savings. Why do they call it a savings account? Anybody know? That's not what it's called on the bank charter. Bank charter, they don't call it a savings account. It's called their lending pool. Let's say I'm a bank. I'm Bank of America. Not to pick on them because they're all equally evil. They're all equal. I would like you all here in this room to come bank with me and put your money into my lending pool so that I can lend it back out to other people as well as you at a higher interest rate than what I pay it for. Are any of you interested in putting your money into my lending pool? No? What if I told you I was offering you a savings account that you could put money away for in case of an emergency, right? And that it could grow interest while it sat in your savings account. Would you open a savings account with me? See? So they don't call it their lending pool, but that's exactly what it is. Think about this for a second. You see these cars. They got these auto loans here. Well, they might have saved up, who knows, they might have 12, 13,000 saved up if they've been saving up for years or decades, right? They could have but they're not going to spend that money on a new vehicle. Why? The money in the savings account is for what? For emergencies, right? Why would I go spend all my emergency funds to get a new car when I can just get an auto loan? But think about that for a minute. Think about what's happening for a minute. I'm the bank and you need a car and you've got money on deposit with me in your savings account. So, and everybody here, you all have money with me. And then you need an auto loan. So instead of you using your own money to buy your car, I'm going to lend you money out of the lending pool, right? And charge you 5%. But what does a savings account pay? You make some money, right? You make some serious bank, right?
Yeah, about like 25 cents a year.
0.01%. Sometimes it's a high yield account. You might see 0.0174. High yield though. Right? So think about this. You're going to put money on deposit with me, and I'm going to give you a 1% return. And then when you need money, I'm going to lend your money back to you at 5%, and you're going to pay that 5% back to me. Who here wants to be a bank?
Yeah.
Is that not awesome? I mean, who's winning? All right. Hey, you guys know what this little initial three-letter initial stands for? INF.
Insufficient.
No.
Insufficient.
No. Anybody know what this is? If you see INF with a 3% after it, what does that stand for? Mm-mm.
Inflation.
Inflation. What's inflation? It's like anytime somebody asks, like we all know, oh yeah, inflation. And someone says, what is inflation? And then I always have people say, I was certain I knew what that was, and right up until you asked me. Say again?
The rate that money loses value?
Yes, that's the part right. So the cost of goods increases,
Increase
Right.
of cost of living.
right? Is the price of milk go up?
Yeah.
Does the price of gas go up? Everything goes up. So the cost of goods goes up, and what you said happens at the same time. The value of our dollar, because it's a what's called fiat currency, it's not based on anything tangible, we just print it. The value of our money decreases with the more of it that's in circulation. So our money devalues, and the cost of goods goes up, giving us inflation. So what does inflation mean at 3%? That means if you put $100 into a savings account last year, this year your buying power is at $97. Is that awesome? Isn't that great? But they paid you 1% back, right? So 98. Isn't that a good deal? Now, if I had an opportunity for you to invest in one of Ray and R's businesses where we buy like multifamily units, right? And you could start getting into the real estate as a moneylender, and we guarantee an annual rate of return of 1%. Who wants in? Nobody? Nobody wants. You don't want to put any money there?
Worth it.
1%. Come on. What if you had $1 billion to play with? What's 1% of $1 billion? Isn't that like $1 million or something? 10 million. I mean, isn't that a lot of money?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Who wants to play?
Big old 20.
That's true. Would you? So by show of hands, who has a savings account right now? Don't be shy.
It's
So.
safe in the bedroom.
Do you realize that you are knowingly investing in something that is losing you money every year? Your money would lose less if you had it invested in something, right? But you put it into a savings account and you're automatically losing money. How many savings accounts do you think Warren Buffett has, or Jeff Bezos, or these wealthy folks? Do they have savings accounts? What? No, they don't. We're talking about ethical people here. Right. So wealthy folks do not invest in something that they know automatically loses them money, right?
Right.
So why do we? Do you ever want to become part of the wealthy 1%?
Yes.
Well, then we got to copy what the wealthy 1% do. If they're not putting their money in savings accounts, should we be putting our money into savings accounts?
No.
Just throwing that out there. Another thing, while we're on the subject of talking about lines or credit, who here has heard that all credit is bad? Debt is bad. Right? You've heard that?
I don't believe it.
You may or may not believe it, but it's out there, right? But I mean, is there some truth to that? What happens if I'm a student, I'm going to college at the UNLV, and they give me a $500 student card? Huh? What am I going to go do with $500 of other people's money? I'm going to go spend it, right? Now, I'm a student at UNLV, so how do I pay that off next month?
Student loans.
trade in all my books and try and get some cash back to pay that off. I could. But so that's where it starts. So then you start, and you've maxed out your card, you start paying on it, and then you can't make the payment, then you get sent where? You get sent to collections. And then if you can't reconcile with collections, what does collections do after that?
Write it off.
They what?
Write it off.
Do they?
Oh, well, they sell it and.
They sell it to who? Another collection
Another
agent.
collection company.
What happens when they reach the end of the end of the line of some, that was a little bit of lunch, excuse me. What happens when they reach the end of the line and they don't sell it off anymore?
I don't know, we'll try to
Take
take
it.
What's charged?
They take you to court,
Judgment.
and then you get a judgment against you. And what can the judgment do?
Attach liens.
They can garnish your wages. They can put liens against your student loans. Right. So that if you're a student in college, when it comes time to pay your next semester's tuition, guess what? You have to pay because your student loan was government issued, right? So they've got that built in to make you pay. So no joke, that could get you kicked out of college. If you have any kind of government job, any kind of security clearance, could you lose your job over a simple judgment? Yeah, this is very scary stuff. So when people say that lines of credit are bad and maybe you should cut up all your credit cards for a certain percent of the population, that may be exactly what they need to do. Let me put this into context for you. You saw a picture of my little boys, right? I actually have 2 adult children as well. But if I took a box of matches and gave them to my little boys and says, "Go run, play, have fun," I'd be a bad parent if I did that. But what are they liable to go do?
Burn the house down.
Burn the house down, burn the neighborhood. You know, my boys would not stop there. They would try to burn the entire city down, right? Give them a chance. They'll try, right? They could get killed. They could kill other people. They could create a lot of damage, right? It's not safe to play with matches, right? It's not smart. You could get burned. But I have 2 adult children now. So let's say I'm out camping with my 2 adult children and I give them a box of matches. Am I being a bad parent? What will my son and my daughter do with the box of matches?
Build a fire.
They'll light a campfire. Now what can I do with that campfire?
Keep the bears away.
Keep the bears away.
Feed yourself.
I can feed myself because I can cook with it.
Stay warm.
So I've got light, and the light scares off the animals, and I can see
Stay
in the
warm.
dark.
Stay
What?
warm.
I can stay warm when it gets cold out.
Burn
What?
the forest.
What?
Burn the forest.
Yeah.
Burn
Yeah.
the
Burn the
forest.
forest down.
I could if I'm not careful. But let's just say I have a fire pit. You know, we're doing things the right way, right?
Go smoky.
So let me ask you something. Does the context of who I give the matches to matter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody who doesn't understand credit, how credit cards work, should we be giving them credit in credit cards?
No.
If you're a bank.
Exactly. They're going to burn themselves. Now, somebody who knows that credit is a tool, that debt is a tool, that there's a difference between good debt and bad debt, can somebody use that tool to build and grow their business?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. So let's go back to fire. Can fire be used in another way? Could fire propel an object with a man inside off of this planet and land him on a moon? And then bring that man back all the way to Earth safely? That happened, what, 50 years ago?
Yeah. July.
Yeah, 50 years ago, July. That's right. And so, when you guys understand how business credit, personal credit, when you understand how credit works, it can propel your business to the stars. It really can, because it's a tool. But if you don't know how that tool works, then you could be just a kid playing with matches and you're going to get burned. All right? So, that's why I'm trying to take the time to show this to you, because I'm trying to show you how we're going to use this as a tool. So your savings accounts, here's the thing that didn't make any sense to me. According to the government, Americans are putting away, 2-income American families putting away approximately $1,400 a month in savings.
A month?
A month.
Yeah.
Who here puts away $1,400 a month into savings? But here, I thought the number, but all these numbers, they come from our government. This comes from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. They get their information from the census. How could any of this information be faulty? Well, okay, so the government categorizes 401k information and IRA and all kinds of pensions and annuities as long-term savings. So, has anybody ever worked at a job where you can have a portion of your paycheck go into a 401k?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And so you can, in some cases, contribute up to 10% every paycheck. You might get 2 paychecks in a month, right? There's 20% of your income going into, and the company will match. Maybe it'll match 3%, 4%. As you build more time with the company, they might match more. Or they're matching the whole time, but after you reach a certain period of time, then you get access to the funds that they contribute.
Joseph, are you saying that our retirement funds is a dream of a lending pool too?
Well, think about it. I'm glad you asked that, because when money gets deducted out of your paycheck to go towards to 401k, let's follow the path. Where does the money go? Where does that money end up? It left our paycheck, we never saw it, and it landed where? Where did it go? Where? No, not this. It landed in Vegas. Close, very close. Anybody heard of, there's this place in New York, it's a street, Wall Street, which is like Vegas, right? Right? Have you ever heard of the Wall Street Casino? So you've got brokers, you've got hedge fund owners who take control of your 401k money, and what do? They use your money to make money for themselves. And then, they're going to try and get you a return on your money. But do they get paid regardless if they make money for you or not?
Yeah.
You remember back when in 2007, when overnight the 401ks became 101ks? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Well, you guys then surely saw all those brokers and hedge fund managers on the side with cardboard signs saying we'll work for food, right?
Oh,
No, they got the golden parachute, didn't they? They were too big to fail.
yeah, they got bailed out.
Yeah, by the very people that they spent and lost the money. Let's put that into context. You give me money and you want me to go down to the casinos on the strip and gamble your money for you and try to bring you back a greater return. And then I get into such horrible debt problems that I need you to bail me out. Right? I've lost all your money. But now I need you to spend more money to bail me out so that I'm not in trouble anymore, so that I can continue to take your money and go down and gamble it for you at the casinos.
Is that why our government penalized us for taking our money out of it?
Yeah, are we talking about conspiracies here? Is there a cabal between banks, corporations, and the government? I don't know. But
That's next month meeting.
well, I mean, if we talk about government, how is government involved? Well, who runs the public education system?
Department of Education.
Right, and that's controlled by the government. And so they make sure that everybody, when they go through their education, has a complete understanding of how to use credit, right? You all took the class where they taught you how to use credit cards, right?
Not even in business class.
Not even in college, right? So the goal is they want to produce workers that go out and work for corporations, because the corporations that you work for will pay you money that we can now tax that income for you. And the government will give the corporation a tax write-off or incentive to keep you employed, so that the corporation doesn't have to pay a tax on that. And then the bank will lend you money to buy what the corporations are producing. And then the government will tax the sales of each of those. So I'm not saying there's a cabal. Just when you draw it out, it looks like one. But take a look. So when you add up what people put away weekly in their 401ks and their IRAs, and then in addition, there are people that do put money away into savings, typically for a short term, like we're going to save up some money because Christmas is coming up and we want to buy something, or we're going on a vacation, or we need to upgrade the bathroom or the kitchen, so people will save for a short period of time. So that's how we arrive at $1,400 a month getting going into these savings accounts. But do you see that whether you're putting the money into a savings account or you're sending it off to Wall Street, you're giving somebody else your money so they can go make money off of it while you get nothing? I just wanted to see if you understood that. Okay, so $5,000 income coming in, and then if you add this all up, 14, 12, 6, 6, and another 12 up here, that's $5,000 going out. Now, how many American families are living paycheck to paycheck this way? They have their expenses seem to exactly total their income, or it's just slightly more than their income.
Probably 80%.
99%.
What would you call the cash flow on this?
Negative.
0.
That's right, it's 0. So if I had this great deal for you, I mean, I'm telling you, a sweet real estate deal. The gross revenue coming in is $5,000 a month. Now keep in mind that the debt service for the property is, it's $5,000 a month. But if you want to buy it, you can take on all the liability, and if anything breaks, it's up to you to pay for it. Who wants this deal?
Negative cash flow.
Yeah, guys, come on. Your gut instincts tell you
No.
no. Let's try that again. Your gut instinct tells you
No.
yeah, so you wouldn't do that. So if you wouldn't invest in that, think about your life. If this represents your life or something similar to it, if you wouldn't invest in that, and you wouldn't even invest in yourself, we have to make some serious changes, right? And who has kids or had kids, right? Did you ever send them off to that magical place called school, right, where they were gone for 6 hours a day?
Yeah.
And then every 3 months, they'd come home with a sheet of paper that you would have to look at and sign. Do you guys remember what that sheet of paper was called? The report card. Now you'd look at it and say, okay, Elijah, you're doing really good in math, you're doing really great in PE, and oh, I see you got an A+ in lunch, good. Right, like you're going down looking at the report card, and then you say, "Oh, I'm a little bit troubled here. It looks like you need to work a little bit more on spelling and reading and English." Okay, so that's how we would look at the report card. Now, if Elijah, my son, turns around and says, "Daddy, can I see your report card?" And then if I was the typical 2-income American family, there's my report card. Let me ask you, what grade do you give the average 2-income American family?
D minus.
A what?
D minus.
D minus?
Yeah.
No,
An F minus? This is just your average budget, folks. That's all we're looking at here. Okay, so now we're going to start talking about banking. So let's change it up here. To help me illustrate this point, I'm going to volunteer somebody to work with me here. And that someone is, let's say it's going to be you. Geraldine. I was really close.
Yes.
I got the first letter right. Geraldine, will you forgive me for getting your name wrong?
Yes.
We don't seem to have name tags. I don't even know what my name is. Okay. Okay, Geraldine. Here's the situation. You're a nice lady, and you lent your car to a friend, and then they returned it to you, and then you go to use it, and it's somehow not working. Take it into the shop, and you need $8,000 worth of repairs. Now, based off of this budget, if this is you only get to work that. How are you going to come up with $8,000 in that budget to pay for that auto repair? Because if you don't go to work, what happens? You don't get paid, right? And you need the car to go where?
To work.
All right, so Do you see a slight difficulty in coming up with the funds to pay for that $8,000 auto repair?
Well, couldn't I use the $15,000 credit line
So you would borrow money?
to get the car fixed?
Okay, okay. Is there 8,000 there? Looks like there's about three. Well, yeah, but you're carrying a $12,000 balance.
Oh,
So you got
right.
you got 3 there. So if you take that 3 and you combine it with your $5,000 of income, and you don't pay your loan, your home loan, your auto loans, or your credit cards, you don't eat or drink anything this month, and you don't save anything.
That's how we got the $12,000 balance.
Make the guy pay for it. The one that's
Okay, let me introduce one more resource that you have. You happen to know this really benevolent, kind, good-looking, talented real estate investor named Joseph Smith, and he's really kind. Just ask me.
I need.
No, ask me if I'm kind.
Oh, are you kind?
I am. Yes, I'm going to lend you the $8,000, and I'm so kind that I'll let you pick. Do you want it at 6% or at 21%? You choose what interest rate you want to pay me back at.
6%.
You know what? Give her a round of applause. Because she was not sick the day they taught math at school, right? Who wants to pay? You don't want to pay more money than you have to, right?
Right.
I think we all get that, and we all make the same decision. So, good job, by the way. Thanks for participating. I want to ask you now a seemingly unrelated question. Fresh water at sea level freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. That's open to everybody. Not trying to trick you. Is that true or false? Fresh water at sea level freezes at 0 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
True or false? True. Would you say that fresh water at sea level freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
True or false?
True.
True. Okay, good. Now, let's say I want to change this to 1 degree Celsius. All right? So I drew a line through that, so that's not there. Let's compare 1 degree Celsius to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Which temperature is hotter? 1 degree Celsius. All right, good job. Now I'm going to try and trick you. Up to this point, I have not been trying to trick you. Now I'm going to. I'm going to change this one to 6 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to change this one to 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Which temperature is hotter?
Celsius.
6 degrees Celsius.
6 degrees Celsius. Are you sure?
Yeah.
I have some people still
Yes.
shaking their heads.
Yes.
You're sure?
Yes.
But I mean, look at that. Look at this. That's a 6, and that's a 21.
Yeah, it's a different scale.
Oh, it's a different scale. Hey, did you know that the bank is doing the same thing to us over here? Did you know that these two interest rates are on different scales? Have you guys ever heard of amortized interest?
Yeah.
Amortized interest. And it's one directional. The loan is one directional. Over here, the line of credit, it's simple interest and it is revolving. You guys got that? Now, what do I mean by one directional? We'll take a look at that right up here. So here I am. My loan, my home loan, right, is one directional. I get all the money, I borrow it right up front, get the $200,000 to give it to whoever I bought the house from. Now, I make my first payment of $1,200, right? Here's me making the payment. Where did the money go?
To the bank.
To the bank. Next month, I pay $1,200. Where'd it go? Went to the bank. Now, month 3, my air conditioning goes out. And I bring out the guy, the air conditioning guy, and I'm like, ring, hello, yeah, come out, take a look. And he comes out in his truck, and he's got all this gear, and he's looking at my unit, and it's just blowing hot air. And he finds that there's a leak, and he fixes the little leak, and then he has to recharge my unit, and then he hands me his invoice. $500. Well, I don't have no $500. So I go back over here now. I pick up this phone and I say, hello bank, I just made my $1,200 payment, but you see the air conditioning went out. What I'd like to do is get $500 of that back so I can pay this invoice, and then I'll make it up on the next payment. The bank says,
No.
because money only ever goes in one direction when you're in a loan. You never get money back, right? Let's talk about a revolving line of credit though. See, I have a $15,000 limit. I could max that out. I could pay it all down to zero. I could max, I could pay, just keep it going, right? Now, if I maxed it all the way up to 15,000, I am now maxed. My monthly payment jumps up from 600 to now I gotta pay $1,000, right? At 21% interest, I make a $1,000 payment. I have access to what percentage of my funds? So if I put $1,000 and the bank is going to take out 21% interest, and then they put the rest towards my principal or available limit or my available balance. Think about this: $1,000, right? $790 comes back to me that I can reuse. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
Bank took out what they're due, and so in a revolving line of credit, even though I have to pay money on it, I get to reuse that money again every month. You guys following along with that? Okay.
You give the raise the other 79%.
Yes,
Okay.
but I still owe 100% of the payment. But what's great is I get to reuse 79% of it.
Right.
Okay. Have you guys ever seen an amortization schedule? So that $1,200 payment, that you're making on your house, right? There's interest, and there's principal, right? How long is a home loan for, by the way?
30 years.
Yeah. You guys ever seen something like this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's that magic little spot right there? At year 21 and a 30-year mortgage.
No more interest.
Well,
Not no more interest, no.
you just pay more of the principal than the interest.
That's right.
So they are accepting more of the principal.
Right, so what you're seeing here is that in a mortgage, the interest is front loaded. Right, so out of a $1,200 payment, on the first payment, $950 goes to interest, while $250 goes to principal.
Okay.
Now, remember, that's at 6%. Doesn't that look like 6%? If I make a $1,200 payment, 6% of that $1,200 payment is $950, right?
No.
No?
No.
Not
No.
even close.
Okay. Not even close. I love it. So, tell me something. Let's look right here. Here's year 5. What happens in year 5? Right. Right here.
Well, your principal, the money going to the principal goes up and the interest starts to go down.
Yeah, but right around year 5, I start getting some pretty amazing offers from my bank.
Oh yeah.
Oh, to refinance.
Yeah.
If I refinance, I can drop my payment from $1,200 a month to $1,000 a month? No, I'm saying that's what the bank's offering.
If that's what
Maybe.
they're offering,
It
yeah, but
depends.
it's gonna lengthen the amount of time that they're
And
paying
you
all
start
that.
over.
Oh, yeah. Oops. You mean I have to start all the way back here at 0?
Yep.
They don't want you paying off that loan.
No. Oh, man. So, did you know in Japan now that when you die, your debt just transfers to your children now?
Wow.
Awesome.
How long do you think it's going to take for that to happen here in the United States?
After 2020.
But any loan. But not everybody refis. But approximately, what do we do every 5 years? We get bored of where we're living, and what do? We move. So whether we refinance,
Or sometimes we refinance and then we move.
that's true. Come on. Come on, Joey, get it right. Go on, keep it tight. There you go. See that little bubble right in there? That's where Americans are living. Are they building up a lot of equity?
None.
Are they paying a lot in interest?
Yes.
Yeah, they sure are. And they either refinance or they move, and they just they will never pay off this mortgage. So 5 months, but let's see if it's still 6% because they say 6%. So 5 years is how many months? 60 months. You were right. So let's put 60 months here. In 60 months, if you made $1,200 a month payment, right? That would mean that you would pay $72,000 to the bank for your house. Let's get a breakdown of what the principal and interest of that looks like. You will have paid over $13,000 towards your principal. Congratulations, folks. 5 years, you've paid $13,000 down, right? And then, but take a look at this, $59,000, just under $59,000 will go to interest.
Why bankers are winners.
Does that looks like 6% right there,
Yeah.
right?
Sure
Yeah.
does.
59,000 is 6% of 72,000, right? No? I mean, come on. They said it was 6%. Did you know over the life of this entire loan, if you kept it and paid it, you would pay $432,000 at 6% amortized? Does that look like 6%? How do they get away with this 6? What's this 6% crap they keep saying here? Come on now. Did you know like there's a formula out there where you can convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
It's called Google, right? You just pull it up. You say convert 6% to degrees Fahrenheit. There is a mathematical formula you can convert. Did you know that we can convert from amortized to simple interest? You guys want to see what that is? Right. Take your interest rate and then double it. What do you get? 12. Okay. Then multiply that by 10. What do you get? 120. Could you imagine the day they set up this loan and you're sitting across from the banker and he's like, yeah, we got this all about wrapped up here. They got back, oh, hey, look, here's something from the underwriter. Congratulations, you just qualified for 120% interest on your loan. He reaches his hand across the table and you smack at it. What are you doing, 120%? I'm not paying no 120%. No, you'd say, congratulations, you qualified for 6% interest on your loan. Now, that's not an entirely accurate formula. That's just how you eyeball it. The formula that it takes to figure this out, okay, because amortized interest it's a rolling recalculated interest on a daily rate, okay? It looks like when they put the formula up on the chalkboard, I have it somewhere here on my computer, it looks like something on Einstein's chalkboard. Because you've got a fraction inside of a fraction with an exponent, and that's all in another bracket, and I mean, it just looks so complicated. But when you do it, when you convert it, you would learn that 6% amortized is actually 116% simple interest. Now, Geraldine,
Yes.
remember that car that you needed fixed, and remember how kind I am? I'm going to let you choose. Do you want to get that $8,000 loan from me at 6% amortized or 21% simple?
It's 21% simple.
Do you guys see that? You see how with just a little bit more knowledge you can make a better financial decision?
More gooder.
More better?
More gooder.
More gooder? I agree.
Good or more good?
Yeah, I agree. You can make better choices when you're in possession of more of the facts, right? Guys, this is powerful stuff. Did you know that wealthy folks know and understand all of this? And how many loans do you think your average wealthy person goes after?
Yeah, right.
Well, Do you think they're interested in getting lines of credit and credit cards? Yes. All right. It is now time to show you guys velocity banking. You have now graduated from basic understanding of. But hey, think about this for a minute. I mean, the banks. Why did they come up with amortized? What were they relying on?
Ignorant.
They were. They were relying upon your knowledge of the public education system. Let me see if you all have all graduated from the public education system. What is 21% of $100?
$21.
$21. Right? You guys get that. What is 6% of $100? $6. Are they relying upon that knowledge that you have? Because tell me, what was the day in school, or what was the class where they taught how to calculate amortized interest?
Math. Oh.
Never.
That,
Amortized interest.
Never.
They don't teach that in school?
Amortized math class.
Amortized math class.
Yeah.
Right. String theory, right? Differential equations. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's that high level math stuff. Right.
Quantum math. Yeah. Oh.
But if I'm sitting here and I'm looking at credit cards and I'm being told that that's scary stuff. Hey, but my credit card, that 21%, do I ever really pay 21%? I gave you that example of $1,000 and then taking, would they really take $210 out of $1,000 payment, one monthly payment? No, because they calculate that interest. That's APR. What's that stand for? That's an annual percentage rate. So we have to take 21 and divide it by 12. You get 1.75.
Right.
So I only have to pay if I'm just paying interest only, simple interest only, I have to pay 1.75% of my balance. That's a small number, right?
Pay off early.
Well, let me ask you this. If this is my credit card, and I go and I swipe my credit card, for $300. Now, next week, I go and pay it off. How much money did the bank make off of me in interest?
Not much.
They made zero. The bank will only make money off of me if I have a carried balance from one billing cycle to the next.
Right.
So if I use my card and pay it off within the same billing cycle, how much money does the bank make off of me?
Zero.
Does the bank want me behaving in that way?
Yes,
They do want me to do that.
yes.
No, they don't.
Well, they get paid on whatever you bought with the $300.
Well, do they want? Yeah, they get a 3% merchant fee, but do they? Is that what they're really interested in?
They want the interest.
No, they tell me to save my credit card in case of emergency, right?
Yeah.
So I have to put an $8,000 emergency on my card. I can't afford to pay that off, can I? I'm going to carry a balance over, right? And then before you know it, now I've picked up this new expense, monthly expense. I can't afford that. So what do I got to do? I got to see, well, maybe we don't pay the power bill this month and float it till next month, right? Just to see if we can afford everything. And then the next month comes along, and then I've got to pay the power bill, otherwise we're going to shut everything off. And then we see if we could float the phone bill maybe for a month. Or is that just me? Am I the only one who's ever come up with that crazy scheme? But it's just dominoes, right? One's going to hit the other, and before you know it, you're going to go from an $8,000 balance to a $12,000 balance because you can't keep up with your payments. And then the bank's got you right where they want you because now you can't pay off the balance, and you're just going to pay your minimum payments every month. And so forever, right? If you stopped using the credit card and we're just making the minimum payments, how long would it take to pay off a $12,000 balance? It depends on the small print, right? What fees they're going to charge. It could take what? The earliest it could be paid off is about 7, right? But with a lot of fees that get calculated into these things, it could take as many as 15 years to pay it back. But the point is, that's not how we operate either, because we won't stop using the card, so it actually will never get paid off. Because as soon as it gets paid down just a little, we go and use it again, right? So the bank has got you right where they want you, right? Every month, they're just making their $600 off of you. All right, keep that in mind. Okay. Now that we have thoroughly got you distrusting all banks. All right, let me see if this shows up. Can you guys see this?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, W-2 folks, they use their cash as currency. Wait a minute. I need to get spell check on this. Currency. Oh, I'm still missing the N, aren't I? Shoot. Okay, hold on. There we go. Do you guys get and understand that? Cash is currency? I mean, that's everything in the black. You guys see that up there? That's living on a cash basis mentality? Okay, do you think that the wealthy folks do that?
Nope.
Let's compare and contrast. Wealthy. Oops, that should be an A, T-H. The wealthy, they use leverage as currency. I just had to think, did I, what were the police coming for me? What did I do this time? What's leverage? Leverage. Anybody ever heard of these three letters? OPM. What's OPM?
Other people's money.
Other people's money. Not to be confused with opium. That's something totally different, right? Leverage is using other people's money. Have you ever had that thought like, what would I do if I won $1 million? Anybody been through that mental exercise? And then we would buy mom a car, we would pay off somebody's, but all these things we'd buy. And for some of you who are more seasoned, you know, no, I'm going to invest it all. But what a wealthy person would do is they would take $1 million and they would use that to leverage $10 million. See, a wealthy person would look at $1 million and see how they could do way more with that. And I'm going to show you how that works. But what do the wealthy use their cash for? Because the wealthy have cash, don't they? They use their cash as velocity. Now, with the first two things I said, you guys are like, okay, yeah, I get it. You know, cash is currency, and then leverage is currency. And now I just said cash is velocity, and some of you people are like, what? What's that mean? We might need to turn some airflow on in here if that's possible, because I see that there's some eyes that are drooping. Michael?
Yeah.
Do you think we could turn the air on just for a little bit? Let's reinvigorate everybody. Maybe everybody stand up real quick.
That's a good idea.
Stand up.
You got any music?
Okay. And sit back down. Now stand up. All right. We gotta get that lunch coma out of us, right? Okie dokie. All right. So I'm now going to show you velocity banking. How does velocity banking work? Velocity banking works like so. See this $5,000? This income? We bypass the checking account and we put it all on the line of credit. Now, when I first saw this explained to me, and this was step one, I had a problem right off the bat. It was like, wait a minute. How do you pay for the house, the car? I have another more important question. How do we eat if we just put all of our income onto the credit card? Well, let's take a look at this for just a second. Let's graph it out. So, actually, let's see if I can draw a little bit better. Okay. Man, I can't seem to draw right. I'll figure it out, folks. Don't worry. Kindergarten. Hopefully it all comes back. There we go. See that? It wasn't too hard. Okay. So this is our $15,000 limit, right? And we're carrying a $12,000 balance, right? So let me ask you, what happens if I put $5,000 of income on this line of credit? If I put $5,000 onto this line of credit, what happens? It pays it all off?
No.
Take down 5,000.
Are you carrying a $12,000 balance?
Yeah, yeah. So I have 12, I start, yes. Now, let's take a look here. Do you see this $600 monthly minimum payment that I need to make?
Yeah.
Do I need to make that anymore? If I put 5,000? No, I don't need to budget for that anymore. All right, so if I'm not budgeting for that, that means that this number is going to change. My expenses are going to change to $4,400. So where does the $600 that I budgeted for, where does that go?
It's already
Where does that go?
used. In the credit line.
It goes to my cash flow, you're right. So we're going to change this, and now my cash flow is at $600. Is that good? You got $600 cash flow. Did I have to get an extra job for that? Did I have to work some overtime? Okay, what about this $1,400 that we're putting away into 401ks, IRAs, or putting into savings accounts? You guys are smart, okay? We don't need to give other people our money so that they can make money off of it anymore. Right? There's no reason to put money into a savings account. If you get educated and you know how to invest your money, then take that savings account and put it into a wise investment. Don't put money into a 401k or IRA. Wealthy folks, how many, we talked about Warren Buffett. How much money does he put away into a 401k? No. Why would he let somebody else invest his money? He's going to invest his own money. Now, he might put it into what's called a self-directed IRA, but he controls it. So, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to learn how to budget our own money. So, if I'm not putting away $1,400 anymore, where does that go? Well, that goes in my cash room. Okay. So now, do you see how I arrived at $2,000 of cash flow? That also means here that I've got to change my expenses now, right? So my expenses now are $3,000. Do you see that? Do you see I got to $3,000 in expenses while achieving $2,000 of cash flow? And we did that because I cut back to beans and rice diet, right? We only eat every other day and the power's on every other week, right? My Dave Ramsey fans out there, just giving you a shout out. No, we love Dave Ramsey. He's going to teach you how to budget. He's going to teach you how to live within your means. But I challenge him only in one area. Can you save your way to wealth? Is that possible? No. You need to add another component, such as wealth creation, which is what we're focusing on here today. But if I make these adjustments to this budget, I put $5,000 towards my credit line, and then I add up my lifestyle, my car payment, and my house payment, then I have to go back here and I have to put $3,000 back onto my line of credit. So what was the total net pay down? You guys see that? Now that was month 1. All right? Month number 2 comes and we put all $5,000 onto the line of credit. Right? So what's my balance at? I go from $10,000 on my card, I put $5,000 on the card, so I'm down to $5,000. But then I have to put that $3,000 back on there. Where are we at now? $8,000. Right? That's month 2. Month 3, put $5,000. Right? Takes me down to $3,000. Then I have to put $3,000 back up on the card. Right? So what's my balance at? Okay. You guys seeing a pattern here? How much is my total debt decreasing on a monthly basis? $2,000. Do you notice that that's equivalent to my cash flow? Okay, guys, there's some rules that we have to follow if you're doing velocity banking. Rule number 1. Rule number 1. It's for emergencies. Right? Rule number 2. It's for debt pay down. And rule number 3 for assets. What's an asset?
Something of value.
Something of value. So if I take my wife out on a vacation, that has value to me.
You're building your relationship asset.
Building my relationship asset. Let me break it down even further. You're right, it is something of value. Something that you purchase, something that you own, that because it has value, it makes you money just because you own it. Think of a rental property. I buy a rental property. Does that bring me money in every month? Let's hope it does. All right, that's an asset. What is a liability? Anybody have one of these?
Yeah.
I own this. Purchase money, I own it. Does it cost me every month though?
Yeah.
I have a payment plan, right? Data, all those fees, right? So why does this not feel like an asset?
You're not gonna make the money back on that.
It sucks money. What about my car? I paid money for that.
All cars are not assets.
They're not assets.
No.
Cost maintenance, plus they depreciate.
Right. Now, another financial strategy that Renatus teaches is called tax and legal strategies, where you turn every aspect of your life into a write-off. And my phone actually now pays me money to use it, and my car pays me money to drive it. But that's because I have reoriented my entire life around write-offs so that I can do that. But if you don't know how to take advantage of those, especially in the right way, then for most folks, having a car or a cell phone, it's a liability. Now, if that's all I can use my credit cards for, well, when do I get to go on that vacation? When do I get to buy the big screen TV? How do I do that? Are we just saying that I get to have no fun ever again now? Because I've converted to velocity banking?
Oh, you got your living expenses in there already, that $1,200 a month.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not enough just to pay the water bill and the electric bill. What if, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy? What if I want to go to, Las Vegas? Oh, wait a minute, more here. What if I wanted to go to Hawaii? Yes.
You put it on a credit card because they've offered you a limit. And you just pay.
Well, I put it on a credit card if it matches with my rules here. Is it an emergency to go to Hawaii?
It could be if your wife wants to go.
It could be an emergency if somebody I know. Emergency constitutes somebody that is tied to me by relation or somebody legally tied to me in some way is going to die or is seriously injured. All right, that constitutes an emergency. Debt. Debt is, I already have the debt. So going to Hawaii wouldn't count there because debt represents something that already happened. I just have to now pay that money back. And assets are when you purchase, as we were talking about, something that makes you money. So if that's the only time or the only way I can use credit cards, can I put a Hawaii trip on my credit card? It would
Yes,
not.
because you're going to go there and do a seminar on building business credit and write it up.
If I can make it a business expense and it's a write-off, then that's neutral. That's neither an asset nor a liability. But just to simply go to Hawaii would not fit. Anything that I want to do for myself has to come from where? What pool of money can I spend however I want to? My cash flow. So the cash flow up here represents the only amount of money that I have to do whatever I want. So if I want to go to Hawaii, is $2,000 going to get it done? No. Well, then does that mean I don't ever get to go to Hawaii? What do I need to do? I need to build my cash flow. If my cash flow needs to fit the size of my desires, wants, and dreams. Right? Once my cash flow is large enough to go to Hawaii or to have a staycation and not have to work because my cash flow is enough to do that. Whatever I want to do needs to come out of my cash flow. Right? Cash flow is also the vehicle with which we use to pay down debt. So if I spend my cash flow on something, that's 1 month that I take of not making any progress towards paying down my debt. You guys following along?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this example here, if we keep it going, how long until we're all paid off?
5 months.
What?
5 months.
5 months.
So in 3 months we paid down half of the debt.
Yeah, so 6 months.
So a total of 6 months.
Right.
Now how long was it going to take us to pay off this credit card if we just made minimum payments? 7 to 15 years, depending on the fine print, right? So I just paid it off in 6 months. Did I have an extra job? Did we work overtime?
No.
Did we, not feed one of the kids?
Yeah.
As you can see, velocity, you see where velocity banking comes from. When you use your cash or your cash flow to pay down your debt, it creates a speed at which you pay down your debt. So cash as velocity is being represented here on this graph. This is what that means. So you can take a $12,000 balance and utilizing your income and funneling everything through this line of credit, you can pay off your debts in 6 months. Now what we're displaying up here is an actual line of credit. If you are using credit cards, you're going to have a problem when it comes time to pay that mortgage or that auto payment. So if credit cards are the vehicle that you're using for velocity banking, then you need to leave $1,800 in the checking account so you can go pay those things. If it's a line of credit, the line of credit comes with the checkbook. So you just write the check off of the line of credit. Okay? So, we have a problem though, and we have to go all the way back to the beginning. What are the 3 components that are required to do velocity banking? You guys see it up here? Well, we have a problem here with number 1. I'm looking at this little graph here, and the balance is down to 0. That means 0 debt right here. Let's go to our rules then. Do we have any emergencies?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. But let's go back in time. Let's say over here, in month number 3, poor Elijah climbed up to the top of the house to get his baseball, fell off, and broke his leg. Do 6-year-old boys climb up onto the top of roofs to get their baseballs? And can they be in an awkward growing phase and fall off and break a leg? Sure they can. So we rush him to the hospital, and we get him all patched up, everything's good, and our insurance covers 120% of all the expenses, right? No?
No.
Insurance covers 100% though, right?
No.
Not even 100%. Well, hopefully insurance maybe covers 80%, maybe? So I get a $2,000 bill here in month 3 here. Can I pay off a medical bill with a credit card?
Yeah.
Yes. But now I've put my balance back up to 8,000 here, see? So now we're up here. Well, can I just continue my velocity banking next month, and instead of getting it all done in 6 months, can I get it done in 7 months instead?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So look at this line of credit. This line of credit is your new checking and savings account. All right? You need to relook at your line of credit. The balance that you carry, you're paying it down, but your limit represents your savings account. You're funneling all your income through the line of credit, paying down the debt at an incredible speed, and saving yourself. Well, we'll show you in a moment how much you're saving yourself in interest, but you are saving a lot in interest. Now, there's some general principles that are at play here with lines of credit. There's this great class. There's 2-day classes in it in Renatus, and it's all about credit management and credit repair, because you can do it yourself. You don't have to hire anybody to do it. Once you know how to do it, it's a simple process. But velocity banking is one strategy to repair your credit. So first of all, there's a couple things you need to know about a line of credit. Utilization, we covered that earlier with Ray. Utilization, we want to keep that under 50%. Yes? We want to keep utilization of our line, of the total balance, under 50%. Now, I mean, at some point we'll put balances on the cards. So we put this huge balance on, we start paying it off. Does anybody have a credit card that they don't use? Just by show of hands, you just keep it around just for an emergency. Well, let me tell you something. Those credit cards that you keep, they can't help you, right? It's of no help to you at all having it. And in fact, the longer that you have it sitting aside, not using it, the likely is you've already lost it, right? Because if you don't use it, you lose it. That's how credit issuers work. So if you have a credit card, you need to use it every month, right? Just to keep it active and keep the limits where they're supposed to be at and everything. Okay, you can pay it off every month, that's fine, but you've got to use a credit card every month or eventually you will lose it. Okay, so here's some just general principles. If I'm going to do velocity banking, and this is how it's going to help me on my personal credit. I've got a credit card, I'm going to use it every month, right? I'm not going to make my balance go above 50%, right? Any utilization over 50% for 12 months will cause my limit to shrink. Does that ever happen to you or someone you know, where your available limit starts shrinking on you? You're like, what happened? Did I leave it in the dryer too long? Honey, you're supposed to check my pocket before I put my cards. Are losing. No. So you got to keep that utilization. And sometimes emergencies will happen, and you might have to max out a card. You got to get under 50% utilization in 12 months or less, or your limit will shrink on you. Okay? So we're learning just some general credit principles here. But I'm going to have a credit card. I'm going to keep my balance under 50%. I'm going to use it every month. And lastly, I need to pay I need to pay down my balance on my card more than what I add to it every month. Okay, got that?
Yeah.
These are just some general principles of how to use credit as a tool, not use it foolishly. So, in the example here that we have up on the board, do you see that we are doing that? Right? Now, we're obviously over 50% utilization at the 12, but we got quickly, in 3 months, we get it to 50% utilization. Is that good?
Yes.
All questions must be submitted in writing. I'm sorry, sir. Right?
Is it essential
What?
the 50% of utilization?
No, that's not the same for a HELOC. Lines of credit, all those rules I told you, they don't apply. This is just credit cards. Okay? Lines of credit, that's a whole other animal. All right? That's why we like lines of credit, because they don't come with all the rules that credit cards come with. But I need to explain those credit rules to you, because if we were using credit cards here, and I follow all those rules, in 6 months, could I call them up and ask for a credit limit increase?
Yes.
Yes, I can. And if I've done all the things that I just told you, they will give it to me because I have followed all of their rules. And then my credit limit increase would take me to $25,000. Now, if I don't call them, and let's say I wait 12 months, 9 or 12 months, will this credit limit increase just happen automatically?
Probably not.
Yes. Believe it or not, it will, because this whole system is anything under $150,000 is automated, right? So, but you have to, all these rules you have to follow for a solid 6 months in a row, right? So if you're doing all these things the right way, then the computer will either give you a limit increase or a rate reduction, right? So they'll drop you from 21% to 18% maybe, or something like that. Got it? Is that good? Would you guys like to be a victim of a credit limit increase?
Yeah.
All right, well then you just need to do it this way. Now, in your savings account, if you scrimped and you saved and you denied yourself, and every time you said, let's go on a trip. No, we can't, we're saving. You have children and they ask for a toy. No, we can't afford it. We can't go to Disneyland. Stop asking. Right? And then one day the magical day happens and you save $10,000. It's in your savings account. And then what happens? That magical thing happens where that big, huge truck comes and they open up the back of the hatch and out comes people with balloons and confetti, and there's this parade and marching band, and they come out with this huge cardboard check and they say, congratulations, you just saved $10,000 in your savings account, right? It's like winning the Publishers Clearinghouse, right? Isn't that what the bank does? No? They say, congratulations, you get another $10,000. You did it. You achieved. No? Bank? No? No, it would never happen. You could save $100,000 in your account, and they'll just. Anybody seen that? There's this little cartoon from South Park, where there's this little kid and he goes to save money for the first time, right? And he goes to put his money. His grandma gave him $100 for a birthday. He's like, great, let's put it, and it's gone. Like, well, I just put the money in the account. I haven't even left. Yeah, it's gone. That's what happens when you put money into your savings account. They're not actually sitting, there's not a lockbox where they've got it under lock and key and we've got your money saved here. It's been lent out 3 or 4 times already, the moment it touched it. So when you use credit the right way, you started with a $15,000 balance, right? You use it the right way, and all of a sudden, they want to give you $10,000 more dollars of other people's money to spend. You guys see how this works?
Yeah.
That's the same. That's the that feels, when that happens to you, it will feel like there was a parade. It will feel like there's balloons and confetti, and you'll just be like, "What? I've got $10,000 more dollars to work with." It's awesome. Okay, So what do we do with this? What do we do? Well, here's what we do. We go ahead and we follow our rules. We still have more debt. It's all over here. It's in the red. You guys see that? Let's go ahead and make a principal only payment. Let's go ahead and do 13K. Now you see 13K is a little bit more than 50%, right? But within 1 month of doing my velocity banking, do you see I will be under my 50%? Okay, so if it took me, excuse me folks, if it took me 6 months to pay off 12, how long is it going to take to pay off 13?
6.5 months.
6.5 months, you got it.
Yeah.
6.5 months. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Also, I mean, remember, we're going to make a principal-only payment. The interest that will be paid over this period of time at 1.75% will be $1,490 approximately. I mean, don't you feel like you're getting raked over the coals? Let's compare that for a moment over here. In 60 months of making the mortgage payment, we paid down $13,000. A little over $13,000. In 6.5 months, we just paid off $13,000 of principal on this house. Now, in the 60 months that it took to pay it down, $13,000, I paid $59,000 in interest. You see that? Over here, in the 6.5 months that it took me to pay off $13,000, I paid $1,490 in interest. So do you see, not only, right here, not only is it faster, but do you see that it's cheaper? You guys see that?
Yeah.
That's velocity banking, right there. That's the power. Now, let's take a look at what happened here. So with velocity banking, I got in my DeLorean and I went back to the future. Right? I just jumped ahead. I just went 5 years in the future. Do I have to pay any of that interest that's right there? No. I'm going to skip over about $50,000 of interest, a little over $50,000 of interest right there. Right? Now, anything you do once, you can do twice, right? Could we just do that again and again, right? Could we just keep doing that, right? We just keep doing that over and over again? You know, dot, 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 5 years later, right, my house is paid off. So in the first 5 years, in this example, first 5 years, I didn't really make it that far, did I? In the last 5 years, in the next 5 years, I paid off the entire house. And I saved $111,000 of interest. Is that good or is that good? Did I get an extra job?
No.
Are we working overtime? Do we have to press the kids into slave labor in some, shoe manufacturing internment camp? No? We should, but we didn't. Right?
Good idea.
But in 5 years, let me ask about, where are we at? 5 years, we paid off this auto loan for sure. The house is paid off. We could go buy another car. Now, when we paid off the house, hold on. When we paid off the house, that changed some of our expenses here. That means that we had. So we're going to change these numbers here. And so now this goes up to 3,200, and that goes down to 2,800. No, I didn't do that right. No, not 2,800. Sorry. 1,000. You guys see that? In 5 years when we paid off the mortgage? That $1,200 is now in our cash flow. See that?
Yeah.
Now, all you have to do is figure out, well, what kind of car do I want to buy?
That's one.
You want to, is that what you really want?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not an asset.
well, I want a truck. Tesla.
I got a truck. That's low.
Let's say you want to get a brand new $50,000 vehicle. We just divide it by our cash flow, 3,200, and in 15 months that's paid off. Just using velocity banking. Let's say, you know what, I don't need to get that $50,000 vehicle. I can get by with a $30,000 brand new vehicle. Okay, well let's just divide that by the $3,200 cash flow, and that's paid off in 9.5 months. Is that good? Now you guys just pick what you want. Buy some used vehicles and then carry the balance over, do a trade-in. But now, that's how you, when you start using velocity banking, you look at your cash flow, you look at something you're going to purchase, and you know exactly how long it's going to take you to pay it off. You buy something on your credit card, it's just all paid off, and then you use your credit card or your line of credit, and you sweep down all the debt. So in the end here, you end up, well, you got a problem, but you end up in the end being completely debt-free. You guys know why that's a problem? What? Well, yeah, because if you have a house that you own free and clear, is that an asset to you, or is that a huge liability? If you get in a car accident and they learn that you don't owe anything on your house, is that going to be an asset to you or a liability? They're going to go after that, right? So we need to encumber our property with a good debt. Anybody heard of a home equity line of credit? Let me ask you something about HELOCs here then, real quick. Are HELOCs, a HELOC, is it amortized or is it simple? Is it one directional or revolving? That's, I mean,
Line of credit, man.
it's a line of credit. It seems like we would really like a HELOC. Guys. Okay, so with your HELOC here, you could go on to rule the world, because what you'll do is you can go on, you can get 90% loan to value if you have excellent credit. Let me ask you, if you've been doing velocity banking for 5 years, following all these rules, where do you think the credit score is going to be at? We're going to base it also off of your debt to income ratio. What's your debt to income ratio at? Yeah. So, guys, you see how I can get 90% loan to value off of a $220,000 house. It's going to give me approximately, a little bit less, but approximately $200,000. What could you do if you had access to a $200,000 line of credit? You could buy some houses, and you could trade in your greenhouses and upgrade to red hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Joseph, you mentioned checks that are line of credit. Where can I go? Do you know where you recommend where I can go to get checks rather than just putting money in the credit card? Because my credit cards are all 0%.
That's great.
They're all getting really low. But I still want to be able to pay off my mortgage and my car.
Well, you got to get a HELOC. You got to get a line of credit first.
So I just go to any bank and get a HELOC and then just get that.
Not any bank. You need income. You need verifiable. If you have a business, P&L statements for the last at least 6 months, but the one as much as 2 years if you have it. Then once your tax returns, a blood sample, a note from your 3rd grade teacher, something along those lines. Okay.
Not that easy.
Can you rephrase our question?
sorry. She's asking, well, how do you get a line of credit? I've got credit cards, but I don't have this line of credit. And so to get a line of credit, a HELOC, you need to have an asset. It's a collateral-based loan. But in this case, you own your house free and clear, so you're collateralizing your own house. But still, there's a lot of people who have equity and they can't access it because their credit is terrible. So it doesn't matter. You could own your house free and clear, and if your credit score is negative 850, then you can't do it.
So there are banks that have HELOCs that can give you checks.
Your line of credits, whether it's a personal line of credit or a home equity line of credit, typically comes with both some kind of checkbook, some kind of debit card. It's treated in that manner. So you yeah.
That was my question.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right. So, hey, are we supposed to wrap up at 4 o'clock today?
Yeah.
Is that the time?
Yeah.
Well, guys, I have like a half hour more worth of training to do. You guys want to stick around for it, or do you got to go? I want to be respectful of your time, but I mean, there's just so much here to teach you. All right? Because that's velocity banking I just put on the screen there for you. Was that powerful? Was that worth the price of admission today? You folks grateful for that? So, what is velocity banking with business credit? Folks, prepare to have your mind blown. Your mind, there will be matter, gray matter on the floor. It was nice meeting you. Gray matter will now be seeping on the floor. All right. Folks, meet my friend. His name is Max. Look at Max. You see how sad he is? You know why he's sad? Because he's got a house. He's got equity in there. But, guys, his credit score, is way down. You guys know what DTI is? It's way too high. His utilization way too high. DTI is the percent of how much of your income goes towards servicing your debt. So he's got about like 300% DTI, and his utilization, how much of your credit is being utilized, and so he's at 1,000% utilization. So I mean, he's just sad because he wants to do these strategies. He wants to do velocity banking, but he can't. His credit, his score is it's horrible. I mean, he didn't mean to end up this way. He actually had credit cards. In fact, let's say he had that, just like our example here, he had the 15,000. He saw what I showed today, and then he's like, you know what? I don't need to hire any professionals. I'll go home and do it on my own. I watched an hour and a half of this. I've got it all figured out. So he takes one of his credit cards, right? It's everywhere you want to be. Right? He's got a little credit card here. And if we have, let's say he has 3 credit cards, and they each have a $5,000 limit, then that would equal the example from earlier, right? So he has, on this card, a $5,000 limit. But he's carrying $4,000, or he's carrying $12,000 of debt. Let's divide that equally amongst 3 cards. And so he's got $4,000 balance that he's been carrying on this card. And he's sad because life has been hard. I mean, he's been this way for the last 2 years. This has been going on for 2 years. But he saw he saw all this wonderful stuff that we did today, and so he goes home and he says to himself, "Self, I can do it. I can do it all by myself. So I'm going to take that $5,000 of income, right? He's got the $5,000 of income, and he's gonna put that all onto his credit cards. Right? So, what happens when you put $4,000 down on a $4,000 balance? What happens to that balance? Balance goes to zero, right? Alright, that's good. Except for when the bank says we're dropping your limit down to 1,000 now. How does my friend Max feel? Remember, here's Max.
Even worse.
Yeah. He says, Joey, this velocity banking is a piece of beep. Right? He's like, this stuff doesn't work. What are you talking about? I tried it. I was like, did you listen to that part where I told you that if your utilization is above 50% for more than 12 months, that your credit issuer can shrink your limit? I don't remember. Yeah, okay. You really should have professionals working with you when you implement strategies like this. So, it feels like he just lost all his money. So, Max, his name's Max because he's maxed out. So what can you do? Well, one possibility, this is an advanced strategy, but if he's educated and he's learning what he's doing or he's working with professionals, he can go out and start himself a little business. Except for that was really terrible. Oops, that was terrible too. Come on now. Come on, Joey. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Let's say that's a storefront, okay? All right. Trust me, it's a storefront. Okay, so this is Max's business. All right. What are the 3 challenges that every business has? 3 financial challenges that every business has. If they don't have this, they will not succeed. They will go out of business if they don't have cash flow. Right? Oops. Second thing that they need is, do they need credit? And the third thing they need is collateral. Right? Without those 3 things, they will eventually go out of business. A business can't make it for the long term without having those 3 components. So Max, he wants to go into business, but I mean his personal finances are shot, and then he obviously doesn't have the cash flow, credit, or collateral. So what's he going to do? What could Max possibly do that could help him? Do you think he could maybe go for business credit? Let's say he hired some professionals, like Wise Guys and Ties, in the credit suite system. Well, if he did that, he could get, how long would it take for him to get $50,000 in lines of credit for his business? It's like you guys are reading my mind. It only takes 6 to 12 months if you utilize the system. You just follow the system, and this is what happens. And you saw all the testimonials. I mean, we're getting to the point now where we could just spend all day showing you all the results of all the lines of credit, because it's really just set your business up the right way, apply for the credit cards in the right order, and then make purchases for your business that you were going to purchase anyway, and then watch your business credit grow. Now, in the building of your business credit, that comes in vendor credit, store credit, fuel credit, right? It comes in all. We're going to say that $25,000 of that is on unsecured credit cards, okay? That you can spend anywhere Visa or MasterCard is accepted. So here's what you're gonna do. There's two ways to do this. We're gonna do this the easy way first. Your business is going to extend a loan to yourself. Now, can a business give your personal side a loan? Is that possible? Absolutely, if it's structured the right way. So, you're going to get $25,000, and you're just going to set up what's called a private note, right? And then this note, you get notarized, right? And you make payments, okay? So the payments that you make to the business will be monthly. So here's, God bless you. All right, so we'll take that off here. We'll put this here. So there's $5,000, right? Max is getting to use the $25,000 credit cards, okay? But the $5,000 now is going, the income is going to go to the business. And in exchange, Max is going to be able, let's go over here. Oh, by the way, the interest rate on these cards, I need to tell you, right, because some of this stuff matters. These high-level cards here, 0% for 24 months, 0% interest. Now, the business is charging on this private note maybe something like, I don't know, 5%, 95%. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's money's going from the left hand to the right hand. You decide where you want to be taxed on it. Okay, so, but you create this note, which legitimizes the loan, and then $5,000 a month really overpays the note. But the note is set up not as a loan. No, it's set up as you just gave yourself a line of credit. You gave yourself what's called a personal line of credit for $25K, right? That's how it was extended from your business. Now, how does that work?
I don't understand how you got the 25,000 from your business if your business don't have any money.
I got a $50,000 line of credit.
So in 6 to 12 months of following the business credit builder program of making a $50 purchase here, another $50 purchase here, you just do this for probably closer to 12 months because it's a brand new business he's starting.
Okay.
But then at the end of that, you now have access to $50,000 in multiple lines, and 14 actually different lines of credit or more, of which about 5 to 8 of those are revolving lines of credit. So now, on this personal line of credit that you have now with this, you have a private note, it's notarized, it's all legitimate for tax purposes. You're going to just put $5,000 of your income towards this personal line of credit. Here's how the personal line of credit ends up getting used, right? You rack it up, 25K, you just, take on, what debts could we throw on there? Let's take a look. Let's go over here. We could throw the whole auto loan on there if we wanted to. Maybe we don't want to do that. I don't know. Maybe we take let's say we take this $12,000 credit card balance and we take one of the cars, right? That'll equal 25,000, right? 13,000 plus 12,000, that'll be 25,000. We could take 25,000 off the house, however we want to do it. All those rules I told you about how to use a line of credit the right way, that's personal line of credit. When it comes to business credit, you can max out the card as long as you make your payments on time. That's all they care about. So every month, maxing out the 25,000, probably come up with be 2% of the balance. What's 2% of 25,000? That $500?
Yeah.
So $500, and you're putting $5,000 right? So the credit card issuers are going to want $500 from you. So this $5,000 is coming into the business, and the credit line is in the business's name. So you put the 5,000, and then, you know, Max has got his $3,000 of expenses. So he has, in this example, remember, he has $2,000 cash flow. How long is it going to take him to pay off the $25,000? No. Nobody has a calculator? $25,000 divided by 2,000. 12 and a half months. Okay, in 12 and a half months. Now, I have access to this at 0% interest for 2 years, right? So I could go throw, because I'm already over 12 months, so maybe we don't go the full 25 on the next round. But can we throw the other card on there now? Let's do the second card, and let's do the second card is 13, and let's take 7 or 8,000 out of the house, just right off the house principal on the payment, right? So in 2 years, so bam, it took 12 and a half months, and then, you know, we do a little bit less than 25, right? We get it down to 24, right? And so, bam, we get that all paid off in 2 years, right? That's how long the note was for. Everything's all paid off. And so let's look and see what happened to Max's on the personal side. Now, none of this benefited Max on the personal side.
This is great.
Thank you so
I'm
much
gonna
for
rely
doing
on my wife to get the rest of the information. She's pretty much familiar with this stuff. I got an appointment to trade my time and talent for money.
I got it.
Okay, I gotta go get,
Totally good.
gotta go get the cash flow.
This is all bonus. This is all bonus information here. Okay, so Max's utilization now on his credit cards. Where are they at? Where's he at? Yeah, because remember in the first 25 we just paid off all of his credit cards, right? Boom. Now his debt to income ratio. We've eliminated both of his car loans. We've eliminated all of his credit card debt, and we've decreased his home mortgage by about $7,000 or $8,000. What's his debt to income ratio like now? Has it gone up or down?
Down.
So it's come down. What do you think the overall impact then is now on his credit score over this 2-year period of time? Do you think it's gone up significantly? Yeah. Okay. So these credit limits that went down to 1,000, he can start using them again on the personal side, right? He just has to prove himself, and as long as now he knows the right way to use them, they will increase and they will eventually go back up to that $5,000 limit they had, as long as he follows all the rules. But let's take a look at the business side. So that's how we benefited personally. So that's good, right? Would you say that's good?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's come over here and let's look at the business. Is there monthly cash flow coming into the business? You guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not income for those who are accountants. It's just considered revenue. But can we get revenue-based lending?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Now, what about credit? We build business credit, but then the way we grow our credit is by having monthly transactional history. Is there any monthly transactional history that's been created for the business? 2 years worth of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this $25K that we started with, as well as new expanding lines of credit, we're actually going to be, and this is conservative by the way, probably going to be at $150,000 of lines of credit in 2 years, if we've done this the right way. So we've got credit, right? And then collateral. Well, we don't have any collateral in this example, but with $150,000 in lines of credit, can we go out and get some collateral now for the business? Sure. We could secure some kind of collateral. Absolutely. And so with the $150,000, we can then get the collateral. And now, do we have the three components that we need to now go out and secure more? I mean, so if you want to ever get $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million, $20 million loan to, you know, purchase, I don't know, a small island or something like, let's say, let's say you want to, you have dreams to grow and build your franchise or your business. Well, this is where the money comes from. So by utilizing business credit, he repaired his personal credit. You guys see that? And he also, at the same time, by just repairing the business credit, all it did was he just used the business lines of credit, but he paid off all of the personal debt, right? Now these credit cards are not at 0% anymore. They're probably going to be around, now they're at, let's say 9%. But is that bad? 9%? That's pretty good for $150,000. Now he'll apply for new cards and there'll be others at 0%. This is good stuff. Okay, so the option number 2. Well, let me wrap this idea up here. Now that his credit score is where he needs it to be, his personal credit score, the only time he's going to ever use it again is when he gives, right here, a personal guarantee. There is a time to use a personal guarantee. See, if you personally guarantee your business, do so in such a way whereas the personal guarantee, the personal guarantee adds to what you already have on the business. Personally guarantee another $150,000 in lines of credit. Now, what do you think the business could do with $300,000 in available lines of credit? Right? So do you see there's a synergy that's created when you use velocity banking with business credit? Now, if I want to actually do some mind-blowing stuff here, I could take my lines of credit and I can attach it to the home as a HELOC. I can create my own HELOC with my business and then run that through a title company, right? You have to file everything right. Your second, because maybe he still owes money, so you've got a second position mortgage, right? And so it's all filed, it's all legit. And then you still have to run your payments all the right way, and you still have to do all the accounting, right? That's high level though. I don't want to suggest that one. If I draw it up, it'll look like Picasso here on the board here. But the point is that you can use your business to not, this is a personal line of credit, but you could also have your business extend to you a home equity line of credit. It's a little more complicated. You need to have an accountant help you know how to not co-mingle funds, right? It's very important. So on this card here, this business card that is extended here, very important that you get a second card issued, right? So you have your corporate card, and then you issue, even though it's even got your name, right? But you get a second card issued to you, and then for accounting purposes, you can see that all of those expenses were used on my personal line of credit that I extended, right? So there's a lot of little accounting tricks. I've had this looked at. This is not something, this was an idea that I came up with, but I'm not just giving you some wild, this is something we ran through the accounting offices we ran it through Credit Suite. There's nothing illegal, because some people are like, I had one person look at it and they were scared, like, that looks like money laundering. I was like, money laundering, what? I don't even know what that means. I had to look it up. Money from ill-gotten gain that's hidden by funneling it through several corporations so that at the end it looks like it's legitimate money. First of all, Everything is documented. It is out in the open. It is for anybody to see. You've got a private, it's private, I mean not private, it's a personal note, but it's still public. You got it notarized, right? It's out there. All the everything that you're spending is documented, right? In both the credit card statements and everything. And you're not funneling it through multiple businesses. It was never money of ill-gotten gain to begin with. So this isn't money laundering. But somebody said that to me, and I was like, maybe I should go check this out with some people who are smarter than me and make sure that this stuff works. But I do want you to know that you can have confidence that this strategy does work. And this is one of the benefits of when you start operating at a level where you can start doing business. Business credit is great, but I mean, what can you do with it, right? Because it doesn't just end with getting some credit cards, guys. When you start working with Ray and I, we've got like 27 different loan programs that you can plug into for your business. Let me just wrap it up here. Do you mind if can you give me about like 10 minutes and I'll get you out of here?
Yeah.
You guys good with that?
Yeah.
All right. What did you learn today? What is a perfect credit score? 100. 100 on the paydex. Who are the reporting agencies for business credit? Equifax Small Business and Business Experian. Correct? What affects your actual business credit score? Just your payment history, right? There's a pearl of wisdom I want to teach you from my days of football. My coach would teach us this because he would want to discourage us from showing up late to workouts or practice. And he would say to us, gentlemen, or ladies and gentlemen, to be early is to be on time. To be on time is actually to be late. And look back at this, and to be late is fatal. It's fatal for your business credit, is it not?
Sure.
Right? When you start looking at the underwriting guidelines and you see like minimum paydex score 80, minimum paydex score 80, what is that telling you? One single late payment would cut that off from you. Now there's some that'll say 78, 75 minimum, right? Because they recognize some people might have one payment here or there. But if you do make one late payment, how long does that stay on your record? Forever? Not forever. 3 years. So, to be early, to pay early, is to pay on time. If you wait to the day it's due, it's already late, I guarantee you. And if you pay late, if you actually pay late, then that's going to stick with you for 3 years. It's going to be very difficult to build business credit. You guys got that? Mm-hmm. All right, pearl of wisdom to live by. Imagine if we did everything alike. Like if you showed up wherever you were going early, would you ever be late? Now, how long does it take to build business credit? 6 to 12 months if you hire a professional. I know from experience when you do it on your own, it can take years. In 6 to 12 months, we can help you build Wise Guys and Ties credit, so we can help you build $50,000 in lines of credit. Now, how can we guarantee that we get you $50,000 in lines of credit? Well, when you get the Business Credit Builder, you get 24/7 access to your own financial suite, an online program that teaches you. It's filled with tons of videos. You can learn every aspect of building business credit. You can get so good that you can put on little webinars like this, demonstration seminars if you want, right? It has the ability to help you succeed in English or Spanish. Are there some Spanish speakers here in Las Vegas that have businesses?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, do they need business credit? Absolutely. Business advisors to coach you through the process. What's the value of having somebody that you like, wait a minute, you just need to ask a quick question. I don't understand something. Could you go over that again? What do I need to say when I'm talking to Dun & Bradstreet? Could you walk me through that whole phone call process again? Would that be valuable to have a financial advisor to help you through that. Would it be good to have help with the setup of your business name, your entity and EIN if you were forming your business for the first time? Wouldn't it be nice? I mean, I know a lot of you already have established businesses, but after we went through Ray's training today, wouldn't it be nice? You're like, man, wouldn't it be great if somebody told me like what I should have done back then? Right? Help with address setup, toll-free phone setup, help with the setup of your fax and your 411 listing, help with the setup of your website and your email address, help you define licensing and online listing compliancy checks, help with the setup of your bank or your merchant account, to help you set up your Dun & Bradstreet account, your Experian and your Equifax account, help you to get the DUNS number for free. Now it is for free, and a lot of people do get it for free, but it's difficult. It's very, very easy for them to get you into an $800 service product that they have, a $2,000 service product that they have. They're very good. Your BIN set up with Experian to dispute and fix business credit inaccuracies. Listen, if something's inaccurate on your personal credit, there's a Fair Credit Reporting Act that allows you to take action and make sure that somebody is reporting accurately on you. There is no such authority that governs business credit. If somebody's reporting inaccurately on you, what do? You appeal to their good graces and say, please, sir, will you take that off my credit report? No, there's a way where you can go through a dispute process, but you do need to know how that works. And it's different per each business. And it's good to have somebody that can help you walk you through it who's been down that road before. How about the largest supply of starter vendors? Right? Wouldn't it be nice to have a list of 15 starter vendors that you could apply for that would actually start reporting positively your payments so you can build your business credit instead of groping around in the dark trying to find some business credit out there? A massive selection of retail and fleet credit with no personal guarantees needed. Let me ask you, just because we say there's no personal guarantee needed, are they going to ask you for a personal guarantee? What about on the vendor credit? Are they going to ask you for a personal guarantee? Yes, they're always going to ask. But when you know what you're doing, you don't have to give it, right? We just sometimes, they ask, so I better tell it to them, right? If you're doing everything the right way and building business credit the right way, even though they ask, you don't have to provide it. And sometimes people come back to us and say, well, what about the online application? I can't get past this field. It says it's a required field. Well, that's when you need a professional that can help you. We can show you how to get past even an online application with a required field that's asking for your social security number. We can show you how to do that without giving your social security number. Cash flow financing with bad credit, unsecured financing with 0% rates for startups, asset-based financing with rates as low as 2%, SBA loans, term loans, lines of credit, and your own finance team. Total value of all of that, $12,291. This comes straight off of the Credit Suite website. So if you just want to know, this is how they break it all down. The Business Credit Builder program with Wise Guys and Ties. If you go to our website, you'll notice that it costs $4,997 for our business credit package. Now we do offer, there's financing with the $4,997, but we do offer a one-time cash discount. So if you're willing to pay $2,497 right up front, you get all of the services, the finance team, the business credit builder, the web-based program, and the finance team, the loan officers that'll work with you and fill everything out. All right. Now, I did want to point out, as I said before, we are in partnership with Credit Suite. So Credit Suite, they offer all the same things that I just listed before. You can see it all on their website, right? But their prices, it's $3,000, right? So if you were to finance their payments, it would be for like $6,000 is what it costs if you finance with them. Or you could pay $3,000 in a one-time upfront fee. So as you can see with us, we're taking the exact same services, but we're allowed to sell it at a discount. So you get $500 in savings just by going through Wise Guys and Ties, because we're just a reseller of the same services. Now, I do want to point out something, because those prices are a little steep for some folks. So we did write a book, and in the book, we spell out everything that we've done here today. It is, as you notice, it's even the same graphics, right? It is the business credit, the entrepreneur's playbook for building business credit. Everything you need to know to build business credit. What is in this book that we did not cover in great detail today is over 30 credit issuers and the underwriting guidelines. And they're all put in order of which ones to apply for first, second, third, and fourth. Would that be of some value to you? So our book, anybody looked this up on Amazon yet? So you can get approved for $50,000 or more in business credit without giving a personal guarantee. You guys heard that before. This is not just another book on building business credit. This is the definitive step-by-step guide to building real business credit fast. Included in the book are exactly 30 business credit sources. The specific underwriting guidelines. Do you need to know who actually reports and when? And what are the specific requirements to get approved? Where and how to apply? Look, if you're looking for starter net 30 vendor accounts, revolving store credit accounts, fleet credit, high limit cash credit cards, then your search is over. With the business credit playbook in your hands, you'll have the winning strategy for your business's success. Man, I wish I knew who wrote that, because that's good. Guys, on Amazon, if you haven't been there yet, you can see it's $250. $250 on Amazon. Only $250. Now, guys, I want to finish off with the football game I told you about. Thanks for staying with us. I know we went over, but was it worth it?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, 2000 Fiesta Bowl had ended, the game ended with the score tied 35-35. Well, we can't end a championship game on a tie score, can we? We got to find out who's the winner. So in overtime, each team starts in the other team's field. So you're like about ready to score. You've got 4 tries from the 25 yards out to score. You got 4 tries to just do it now. Okay. So this person right here, by the way, I don't know if you can see this Oklahoma Sooner, they get the ball first. And they give the ball to Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson, if you don't know, is a NFL professional running back, guaranteed Hall of Famer. So in one play, runs down the field, scores. Right? What's that like? Hey, if you have somebody in your organization, in your business that can close the deal, right? They just score every time. You just give them the ball, you give them the contract, you throw them the lead because you know that they're going to close it down, right? Well, that's what this guy's like. So Boise State, they find themselves in overtime, down by 7 points because they kicked the extra point, and it seems like we were just here, right? So whose business feels like they're headed into sudden death? And we got to come up with a big one to score. So Boise State, they tried to run the ball. No, they didn't go anywhere. A whole bunch of guys ran into each other and fell down. Nothing happened. And then the next couple of plays, they passed the ball, and the guy drops it. Now it's the 3rd down, and everybody knows that they're passing, so all the defenders run in at him all at once. It's called a blitz. And so the quarterback's surrounded by 11 guys, and he just has to throw the ball away before he gets killed. So now it's 4th down. Again, it's like deja vu all over again. So they do what they do. They call on the play of business credit. That's what you do. So they toss the ball off to a running back. Now running back, what does he do with the ball? Running back, what does he do? He runs. But instead of running, he throws the ball. Everyone's like, what? Look over to a tight end, catches the ball in the end zone. Touchdown, Boise State. 6 points.
Wow.
But now the coach has a very important decision. He's down by 1 point. If he kicks the extra point, right, that would play it safe. He could try to win in double overtime. whose business wants to go for double jeopardy? Right? Or he could go for the 2-point conversion. Right? But what play do you call? Well, here we are. They decide to go for the 2-point conversion. This, right before they snap the ball, how they line up, that's called a formation. This formation is called trips right, because they've got 3, so that's why they use the word trips for 3. They call it trips right, so there's 3 receivers to the right. And all day, all game long, they run this play like 5 times. The quarterback throws the ball to this guy, and then these 2 guys run and block people, and they run it for about 5 yards every time they play. Well, as you can see, that's about how far they need to go. But can you see how the defense knows what's up? They put some extra guys over here. They're not gonna be fooled. So let's see what happens.
Boise State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won.
Hey, that kind of got caught up. We didn't see what happened.
Yeah, what happened?
Come on now.
You dummy through it.
All right. One more time, guys. Here we go.
Right. Boise State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Can you believe
All right, guys, I want to show you something here real quick, because some people are like, I didn't even see what happened. I still don't know what happened. What he's doing is he's faking the throw. He takes the ball and he pretends to throw, and that receiver pretends to catch a ball that's not even there. That's why it looks confusing. This guy is the guy who's actually going to get the ball and run it the opposite way. It looks like a pass, and he just stands there. He's not doing anything. So the quarterback, he's right-handed, so which hand does he throw from? His right. So when he takes the ball from the center, he keeps the ball in his left hand, but pretends to throw with his right hand.
That's great.
He puts the ball behind his back. So I take the snap, I put it, and I go, oh! And I'm leaving this ball here in my back, and the running back just goes, takes it and runs.
That's such a smart.
Can you show it again?
It's called the Statue of Liberty play. Go ahead and take a look at it.
right? Boise State for the win.
Oh,
They
wow.
hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Can you
Now what? Why did I explain to you that football play? Because a lot of people who've seen that many times still don't know what's happened. When it comes to business credit, a lot of people have heard of it, but they still don't know what's going on there. But do you see how if I take time to break it down and explain all the little things that are happening, do you see how easily you saw how they did that? Business credit's the same way. It can be very confusing if you don't know what you're doing and you're doing it on your own. Now, if you have our book, you can do it. You can do this on your own. You can. But when it's explained to you and you're working with a professional, when you have a coach, right, it can make everything so much easier for you. But let's go back to that decision. That coach, Peterson, he made a very important decision. He could have played it safe, or he could have played for the win. Now think about that. Playing it safe. Is building credit, business credit, could that be risky? Yeah, it could. Because we've already talked about, could there be bad things that happen with credit? Could you get burned? You could if you don't know what you're doing. Is real estate investing risky? Especially if you're not educated and you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to figure it out as you go. It's very risky. But you can play it safe. You don't have to invest a lot of money. You could watch other people do it, see what happens. But let me ask you something. How many of you, can you tell me, can anybody give me an example of a great moderate, of somebody who played it safe and their life story inspired you to greatness? Somebody who didn't risk it all. They risked little to nothing, and you were inspired to do the same. No, are we inspired by people who risk it all, who go for it?
Yeah.
Charles Lindbergh flies solo for the first time over the Atlantic Ocean in a rickety old prop airplane, right? Was there any safety net for him? If he crashed, was there any boat that was going to come by and rescue him? No, but he flew from New York and landed in Paris and did it in a day. Never been done before. Are we inspired by that?
Absolutely.
What about there's what is his name? Is it Yuri Gagarin? The guy who went faster than the speed of sound for the first time? Or is that Carl Jaeger? I might be mixing it. I read so many bios. I'm inspired by this stuff. It could be. You're looking it up? Jaeger. I think his last name was Jaeger. Chuck Jaeger. Is that it, Charles? Chuck.
First name,
But anyway, guys, he got into this airplane for the first time that had a rocket engine strapped in the back, right? Before everything had gone on prop planes. And these are the kind of things that you would launch missiles and they would explode. And he said, well, let's put one in the back of the airplane and I'll fly it. What's the worst that could happen? You could explode. But he ends up breaking the sound barrier. Is that not inspiring? Chuck Yeager, thank you. Yuri Gagarin, I think, was the first man in space for the Soviet, the cosmonauts. But anyway, so many inspiring things that people have done, right? How would you like to be the first man in space when no one's ever been there before that? You don't know if you're going to live or die. This is what inspires us. I was inspired by a president in 1961 who said it should be the goal of this country to land a man on the moon before the decade's out and return him safely. I mean, when he made that statement in 1961, we had spent a grand total of 4 minutes in space at that point. We did not have the technology. We did not know we didn't even have a computer at that time. We hadn't developed we didn't have the metallurgy. We didn't have the rocket science to actually shoot something all the way to the moon. But he said, we're doing it. Now, was it risky? Were there astronauts that lost their lives? Right? Were there ground control? Were there rockets that exploded on the launch pad and engineers lost their lives? Yeah. But what happened on July 20th, 1969? Right? That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Are we inspired by people who play to win? I'm telling you, business credit, real estate investing, it's a lot of the stuff we've been talking about today. That's playing to win, but it is risky. It does mean that you have to step outside your comfort zone and try something. But you already know what doing nothing will accomplish, right? Doing nothing will get you nothing. So I want to encourage you to go for it. I want you, if you're ready to experience life at a tempo that you've never experienced before, come work with the wise guys in ties. Let's build business credit. Let's do some velocity banking together. Let's work with people like my friend Michael Mahoney over here, and let's build an empire of real estate. Let's do it here in Vegas. Let's do it all over the world. You guys with me? So I'm going to ask you, are you going to play it safe? Or are you going to play to win? Only you know the answer to that question. But let me tell you this, because Michael's not going to let me get away with charging you guys that much money. Oh, it's $2,997. That's not even the price. But the Empire Builders said that I could go ahead and offer a one-time discount for today for $1,776. That should look a little familiar. 1776. How'd you like to declare today as your day of financial independence? Huh? You could do so. Let's get started. Let's work together. Let's build your business credit. Let's accomplish your dreams. Also, our book. It is $250 online, but anybody who wants to buy this book today can get it for $197. Right? If you want to purchase it today, you can have the book with the 30 different credit issuers and all the underwriting guidelines and all how to build business credit for $197. That is our special bonus to you guys here in Vegas. Sorry to my folks online, but that's only for these folks here who are live, right? But you can get this business credit builder, $17.76. But you have to let us know before you leave today because the offer expires once you're out the door. Got it? And the book, same thing. Once you're out the door, you can always get it. It's a great deal for $250 on Amazon. All right? Ray, Fleming, and I would like to thank you so much for staying with us today. It has been a blast working with you guys. You have great questions. Guys, we'll stick around and answer questions. Thanks for staying late for the bonus material. I know some people couldn't, but we love you. And I just want you to know that there is no shortage of money out there, right? We've shown you a lot of ways, a lot of crazy ways to get access to it. Right? But here's what there is a shortage of. People who will commit to doing whatever it takes to make their dreams come true. That's what we have a shortage of. And if you feel like there's a lack of money and that's why you can't get your dreams done, no, what we have is a lack of people with vision. And if you're somebody with vision and you want to work with the professionals, let's make those dreams come true. Thank you so much. I want to welcome back to the front of the room, Michael Mahoney.
You guys enjoying today? Yeah. Let's give Ray and Joseph another hand of applause. Live on YouTube too?
Yeah, you're live on YouTube.
Nice. What's going on? Guys, was today good for you? Good value?
Yes.
Awesome. How much did today cost?
40.
40 bucks. You know, I had some business partners who said, don't charge anything, let's do it for free. I challenged them back and I said, sometimes people take things for granted and for free. You don't realize the exchange that you're getting in your life. If it was $40, you got a huge exchange of value, right? They got a book, it's $250. Could have done the same thing. They got a program that's $3,000, or today it's $1,700. Let's not be afraid of money. Let's look at the exchange of value, because money is nothing more than the representation of the exchange of value in the marketplace and the economy. If you guys are looking for value, Wise Guys and Ties can provide that to you. If you guys are interested in Renatus, that's another exchange that can highly change your life with a different value. There's a high price tag of value to it too. Don't be afraid of money. Don't let it hold you back from something that can provide value in your life. Just from the learnings that I've had, I've been able to get over that fear. I had a lot of fear of debt. It held me back for years. I had a lot of fear of money, held me back for years. That's how we were trained, right? When we were younger. I let go of those fears. I invested in Renatus. I invested with the Wise Guys and Ties. The exchange of value in the person I am today. Sometimes my mother still doesn't know who she's talking to. That's my learnings. That's my give back to you with what I've learned from Wise Guys and Ties, what I've learned with Renatus. I hope you guys stick around and have a conversation with Joseph, Ray, or myself about any questions you guys have. Have a great day.
Yeah, because I wanted to do it.
Oh, anybody, by the way, anybody who buys the book and then later wants to get into the program, we'll credit you actually $500 later towards the program. So there are some people who are asking about that.
Yeah, so, oh yeah, here, so this, yeah, you want to give that for the people who need their contact? Oh, and on that card too, if you take your phone and say you wanted to go home and talk to like a business partner and a friend or something like that, you can scan this and get a video training on business credit, because trying to re-explain everything is a little hard. So on, like, you have no, you should be an online portal. How do you pull it up? There's this thing. So, Isn't that built into
Say,
your phone?
go back and they see my
What?
name,
Your
I
iPhone?
got my appeal
What
button.
is it?
They do that for you.
Yep, well, they're.
Is it an app or that you gotta download or is it
Yeah.
what's it called?
No, I think it has one, doesn't your phone already have one on it? Which iPhone do you have?
QR scan, QR code.
Just we're going through this.
It's an app.
Yeah.
Like on your phone.
He said it was in. Let me see what it said.
I tied like all their personal score to it, so the personal score here. Now, this personal
Mine.
Oh, here, yeah, you just launch your camera.
personal score.
Okay.
The attachment. So it's not like you have take it on credit, debt, right? I'm paying it off. Got my dad's credit score off. And I actually improved my dad's credit score by doing that. Because it showed that he could get out of credit cards too. So now I'm going on to buy real estate with that. So they're working with me. Their online website, I can go on there anytime I want to check for anything I want. There's videos on there too, do tutorials, mention to do the real estate and all that too.
And so when you get the credit card, because there's a thing here, where you know, because you know, the general credit card, on the business credit card, when you get that, because then it's something that, you know, when you get the credit card, you're supposed to bring the cash, not.
But yes, it would, yeah. So it's like a few things. Say if I want to buy the rehab, so I so it's like $40,000 to $50,000 every quarter. So if I negotiate a deal based on his education, I have to use my own money to purchase a house. I just negotiate and self-finance subject to my apartment lender.
I'm like something else.
So $40,000 instead of going blind.
A little bit more than that, but yeah, it's kind of.
So I credit cards about $20,000 now. So.
That's really cool because business credit, especially the trade accounts and vendor accounts.
Or go for buying supplies from rentals, situation like that, as well as pay the water bills, utilities, insurance, taxes, that shows that it's business. It's amazing how fast things come. She came off the process. We're talking what you guys are to, we have your because you buy it. But like you said, that he's a joke. It's online stuff too. So I'm checking stuff myself. He's great. He's you can talk to his chat box on the website too. Just the thing and the local they work with home runs actually. So it's not just like, hey, I'm here at the bottom. You know, I find security, just making sure the things that take place right now. It's a good time to get involved. Yeah, so I got $39,000 from bank. There's rotation. There's rotation. Cool.
Yes.
Because they are one of those small banks and it's lots of guys.
But I think it's somewhere.
They're working with, they're borrowing the.
I mean, in terms of what you're saying, it's like also increase
These guys are going to take a lot of.
they may or may not.
These guys are just running the system.
So in the address, you just until it's. If everyone's succeeding, if someone's succeeding, just photo it. If there was a real, like, next, well, there's we're using it on it's been fun to be available to a lot of. I decided it was I was always thinking
Yeah, and right now we've been using it personal.
I have a different business.
How long have you been doing that?
Yeah, Someone reckoned to rate that debt to income ratio.
Virtual phone.
So that's, I mean, that's what I just want to do podcasts. People who have done it before. They benefit and teach it back. I still have.
If you don't so like, yeah, so when you're single,
How many
there's some years, beginning years, it's just basically signing, like you use this as a schedule. Yeah, schedule C. And so then it's just like one aspect of what the corporation actually doing. It's
Business credit long loss of bank.
pros and cons to every situation, because in the beginning, when we started, I was trying to
Given that, it could be another business, it could be another things like that. Yeah, let's get real estate credits. Now,
I'm not seeing how all there's a lot of pros and cons that are important. Let's see, that's
20,000 steady stream. There's usually business
long taxing, it's taking everything zero. But then
so we use the law and business credit. If they don't,
it's one of those things. It's kind of every single month after you establish it's a case.
that's what we're so much cash. I have a lot of lots paying $800.
Is that good for you?
That's actually a business credit too. Is
Our business expenses down here,
not showing cash flow.
right now we're just doing fixed costs. Leverage, so we're paying 30,000 here, 20,000 here, 30,000 here. It's good,
Even if you do
yeah.
let's say you write everything out and you keep sales, then you can make at least $5,000.
So here we place everything. We're using
It's not business credit. So yeah,
Right.
Let me see.
no, it's like
So the same information that we need,
it's one more.
there's just no
Sourcing.
financial institutions, there's no loan officers working with you, and there's no negotiation. So, I mean, that is,
we work harder, we can get our own income. Again, I actually,
not today's $5,000 off of $2,005.
I have all this information, what are the next steps? So having these guys do it for, that's what they do. Every single day, and have them, alright, what are you doing?
And so yeah, business credit cards are ready. Yeah, I think the big for me, I mean, I looked at it, right? I need to analyze those, I need to adjust information and then we can yeah, they were, yeah. It's just the speed, it's just the
Well,
speed.
I think that,
But
if you go to our website, you're gonna see there's two other
Are you
ways
having another
to pay,
way?
because we're,
It's the one
it costs $5.
usually family know like
But
if you were to they get started with property
If you were to put,
We're going to, we can pay,
they start with one and then a lot of times depending on
so we're working on a different buyer right now to see if we take.
no, but there was one that someone I think was one of the nights doing the John Wesley, the one on the so that's
We're talking about the one that's.
that gets a little bit but we're using a few cameras. No, it was the one he wasn't with situation. No, it was the second week of first week was like August on Saturday.
Okay.
It was to go, I think it was to go to a place where we were watching someone doing the free, who was the teacher with me.
Okay, yeah, so that was the thing they were doing.
Yes.
most garage doors have
One of
walls
those, I think, the end of
on all sides of the
because
track.
we work all that lock corporate schedule. They actually have another structure in to give them the class, so we have to work all that schedule.
Yeah, so that's the main way that you,
Because it's very cheap to start teaching how
it's like deadbolting your, you know how you deadbolt your front door? You can deadbolt your garage. But if you have those deadbolts in place and you activate the garage.
I'm not gonna use the garage door, I'm not gonna use the garage at all.
That creates a lot of problems. If you're not doing it, then you're gonna.
Yeah, you should have bolt
We'll
marks.
see, because there's other states that
should be a manual way to lock down the shutter.
Yeah.
Because, it's always like, oh,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so the situation, I looked at that point, so whenever this comes down to the concern with the price.
But yeah, it's right because it's on each day.
Many times, especially if you're on a short term rental, but this is the deal, we are not rich enough to be cheap. Knowing what you're not, things are gonna break fast. So
That always seemed just to be like 2 years ago.
Hard struggle that
Yeah,
I'm always like that. It's like,
You guys
yes,
back
it's gonna like keep this, but then it's like, we're gonna have to replace this piece of furniture, you know, 9 months
questions that you have about nice events, you have access to. Right.
Just to know. 200 can go. Yeah.
Oh, 2000 can go in here, 2000 can go into the education too. And like I said, with us, again, not to me, because I'm not an honest employee in the state. I'm still learning. You put $400 down with a Vermont, and that's all they require is 20%.
Now, if you thought about
So say you bought this $2,000 package with them, they teach you how to get on business credit cards. You put $400 down for honest education, and then you have money from a bank that you can when you're financing the payments for them. So someone borrowing money to pay for an education that's
Did
going
you want to fill out one of the sheets and that way if she would, and she's like,
So what you did with
2000 essential.
and then if you don't, as you don't, then we always said
It's
it's
all
all
the financial classes and then the beginning
regardless of
classes, trusted education classes. So you can usually come to these two sides of the table, specifically because they want you to need before you can go on and do like a specific strategy. Because there's so many schools like it's risky. Well, it's risky because you didn't understand the the essentials. That's why regardless of the knowledge, it's going to be hard when you try to apply advanced
If
strategy.
you want to take a formula and
You know,
Let's say
that way,
that way you at least cover your ground.
Well, you should just be able to put anything
Talk to
in
them
there.
about that.
That way at least you have it.
You don't really have to district or you
Yeah, like you need to just put it in the area where the bolt is. There should be a bolt there that you just slide.
foundation.
Yeah, we'll just do it by like,
But is that bolt not there? The door moves inside the truck. And then right. And the door is sliding in the groove. Well, there's it's gonna light up.
What are you doing?
So you can put a pin
Businesses
or a piece of wood or a dowel or something in there that'll lock it.
Yeah, we're actually improving. I mean, you did your
When
one.
it'll be locked.
Right there, I've read them, but
Yeah.
step by step, thankful for
Yeah, that's smart.
The door, I mean, first of all, put the bolt, just slide it, and if it's not there,
Again, this is
look where it's.
Cheers.